Okay, this is great. We got some new faces. I see my friend Dorothea there. Good morning, Dorothea. Okay, well, it's 10:02. So I think we should get started because we know everybody's Saturday mornings are precious for them. So we'll get started here. My name's Pat Callahan. I'm the chair of the Town Building Committee. I've lived in Richmond for about 8 years now. I live on Lenox Road. I love this town, and this is quite a project to be involved in. I'm very enthusiastic about it, and hope we can share that enthusiasm with you this morning. This meeting is being facilitated by Megan Tuttle, who's from our project management firm P3. Megan's going to drive the slides, and she's also going to turn the meeting onto Facebook Live so that other people can watch it from there. And we are recording this meeting. If you're not talking, please do keep yourself on mute. It looks like most people are on mute that I can see. It just reduces background noise and makes it easier for everybody to hear the speakers. Okay, so I'm going to start us off. Megan, can you launch our slides for us, please? Great. Okay. Let me just start with a little bit of the history of this project. If you can go to the next slide. There we go. This isn't the first time the town has started thinking about building a new municipal building. In 1996, the town actually purchased the property that we're talking about. It's on the north side of the school. It used to be known as the Annan Lot for people who've been around a long time. It was purchased with the specific idea that once the school was refurbished, we would put a town hall library building on this property. You know, there've actually been several efforts. I looked at a floor plan that Bill Martin, who's our town moderator, sent me a couple of days ago that had a floor plan that was amazingly similar from, I think, 2002, actually. So this is, like I said, not the first time that this has been considered. A serious effort to build this building happened in 2005. A group of townspeople put a design together, and they brought it to a town meeting. And the funding vote failed by 4 votes. It takes 2/3 to pass the ability for the town to borrow money, and it failed by 4 votes, and the project was canceled. In November of 2017, this new building committee started to gather itself, and we spent the first year plus thinking that we were going to be able to apply to the state for funding to really help us build the library portion of this building. And after a great deal of work and conversation with the state, we came to understand that the state money was extremely limited. It had been allocated, and it would be at least 2030 before we could really be in line to get funding from the state. And that made no sense to us. And so we reset our thinking, and we started to really put the design in place that we're going to present to you today. By January of 2020, we had this design completed. And we were starting to corral ourselves to start to communicate to the town, and the COVID emergency really hit us and everyone else. And we made a decision to delay the project for some months to see what happened. In November, we decided that the time was right to really restart this project. Interest rates were very low. You know, although there was still uncertainty, we felt that there was a good chance we'd be coming out of the emergency, and it was time to restart the project. Go to the next slide. So here's the team, just to tell you who's been working on this. There are 11 members of the core building committee team, all of whom are residents of the town. We have representation from lots of different groups in town, the Council on Aging. Roger is one of our selectmen. Kristen Smith is our librarian. Catherine Wilson is one of the library trustees, but this group of people has been amazingly consistent, working hard through this project. The other library trustees, Nancy McConnell and Catherine Keenum, have also been very involved with this project. Bob Neidick, who's the chair of the town finance committee, has been faithfully coming to all our meetings and helping us figure out how we would put together the funding to pay for this. We hired a project manager, Dan Pallotta from P3, that's the firm that Megan is with, who's helping us with this presentation this morning, and an architect, Curtis Edgen from Keolo and Bienick, which is an architectural firm in Chicopee. Dan and Curtis have done a lot of work in Western Massachusetts. They were responsible for the Monterey Library. They've done buildings in Greenfield. So they've really done a lot of work in Western Mass, and they know Western Mass very well. So why are we doing this? Well, our buildings, and anyone who's been in the town hall or the library knows that we have issues with these buildings. The town hall, which is 100 years old, we had an estimate done by an engineering firm last year to say, well, suppose we decided to just build a library and we bring the old town hall up to code, because once we start repairing it, we need to bring it up to code. It would be $2.8 million just to bring that building up to a condition we could use it, and it still doesn't solve the septic problem. The building is very run down. It has airflow problems and mold problems. It's not accessible at all. Any of you who've gone up and down that staircase, as I have, realize that it's a huge problem for a lot of members of the town. It looks awful from the outside and the inside, and there just isn't enough parking there. The library is in a rented space, and I would say that we are the only town in Massachusetts that runs its library in rented property and doesn't own the building. And one of the problems that gives us is that we really can't invest in that building to repair it or rebuild it. It's a very small space. It was originally a truck garage. The children's area in there is so small, it's one family at a time. It again is not accessible for people who have any kind of mobility issues. The heat is uneven, there's dampness, and the parking's even worse. And parking's one of my big whiny areas, but there's, especially if you go to the library in the winter, is really no place to park other than the 3 or 4 spaces out front. So we need a new building. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at developing a single building that has town offices, the library, and a community meeting room that shares a common element. So it would have all our shared systems. We're going to put enough storage so that we don't have to rent offsite storage, and we'll show you how that's going to work when we start showing you the floor plans. And we really see this building as an investment in the town. The building would be placed to the north of the school. There would be a walking path between the school and this building so that in the after school times, children could come over to the building. And we expect there could be a lot of movement back and forth between them, because we really could have a center to our cultural life in the town. In fact, the center of the town, where is Richmond? It would be clear that we would have a center to the town. The offices and the meeting rooms are comparable in size to the current space. So if you look at the space the town offices take today downstairs in the town hall building and the space they use upstairs, the new office space is really comparable to that. The meeting room is comparable to the upstairs portion of the town hall. So we're not really expanding those spaces significantly. The library is about twice as big, and Catherine's going to show you some floor plans in a minute. But the library size is based on the state of Massachusetts has a website that shows you the size of libraries compared to the population of the towns. And this is right in line with Massachusetts small town libraries, the one that we've designed. The increased space improves our children's area so that we can have real children's programs. It has a reading room that could be used for meetings or book clubs, as well as for quiet time. There's space for us to actually have programs. Any of you who've been to a program in the library know that it takes up the whole library if anyone is talking about something. So really significantly improved space and improved storage space. The meeting room would hold seated comfortably about 75 people. There's a patio outside that would allow us to have expanded space outside of the room itself. And that room, it just has limitless uses. We have a storage room where we can store the tables and chairs, as well as exercise equipment, art equipment, or whatever we decide. The room can be used for classes for all ages, senior programs, health clinics, exercise programs, dancing, tai chi, music, chamber music in the evening, book clubs, and so forth. And it could be rented. This is a space that if the town decided they wanted to rent it periodically for private use, we could do that. There's an entry space to allow, it's not huge, but it's big enough for people to gather, to wait for meetings, to sit and comfortably and chat with friends. And the internet will be available in the building, even if the library is closed. And the parking lot that we've designed has 50 spaces, which warms my heart. And the parking for this building could be overflow for school parking, and the school parking lot could be overflow for this building because they're easily walkable between them. And the building is going to be designed to be very, very energy efficient. And you'll hear more about that in a minute. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Catherine Wilson, a member of the team and a library trustee, to talk through some of the graphics.
Thanks, Pat. Thank you all for coming here today too. I'm Catherine Wilson. I lived in Richmond for the past 11 years part-time and 6 years for full-time. And I've been a member of this committee for about the past 2.5 years and a library trustee for almost 3 years. We are all really excited about this project. People we've talked to have been excited about it. People we've consulted with are very enthusiastic about it as well. We're looking to replace 2 old buildings with a new, modern, beautiful, efficient building. And we, want to say the old town hall, we just don't want to throw money at a 100-year-old building that's not really going to still meet our needs. That would be a lot of money, $2.8 million that we are going to need to spend if we don't do this. That's, to me, one of the biggest selling points of this. The library, as Pat said, in rented space, so we cannot make improvements or enlargement to that. So by making one building, we save money on the shared systems. And so that is key to this, to the success of this plan, I think, that we will have one center to the town, adjacent to the school, and making it cost efficient by putting the 2 plans together. We own this property, so there's been a long time plan to use it. That's great as well. We don't have to buy the property. And you can see on this aerial view here, closest to you is north and you're looking south. That is Route 41 that runs up and down through the state road that runs up and down through the picture. And so you can see that the artist rendition of the new proposed building is north of the school. A couple of things about that. The building would face north, but it would have a patio to the south facing the school. The views of the field and the mountains on the east are going to be beautiful views outside of the many windowed library. And so the tennis courts you can see are still there. The wetlands aren't touched. We really have looked at some of the site studies from previous plans and used their maps at this point to look at where the wetlands are, avoiding those areas for all of this. And you can see well, you can't see on this map, but there will be footpaths between this new building and the school itself. The next slide. One thing I didn't mention there is that there's a new curb cut for the parking lot on this plan there, so that there won't be congestion added to the school in the morning and the afternoon times when a lot of parents are driving through there. This is the view of the building facing north. We've gotten some questions about why it's sort of facing sideways to the street, but because of the plot, because of the slope of the land, it really is the best way to fit this on. I think you'll be able to see this building driving north or south and see a beautiful view of the building while you're on 41. Because of a number of trees and all, you're not going to see so much looking. If you stopped on 41 and looked to your side, you're not going to see the front of the building. You will see, excuse me, a side shot But because the parking lot needed to be in there and in the front of the building, it would have pushed the building down the hill quite a bit. This is a conceptual drawing, so you're not going to see landscaping, and they've drawn it in sort of a plain vanilla way, but we haven't gotten to the final decisions on siding and all of that. The idea is to match it to the architectural style of Richmond Consolidated School. There's a portico at the front entrance. The parking lot with 50 spaces. Pat is very enthusiastic about that. And we all are too, because if you've ever been to a program at the library or the town hall trying to go to vote or to a meeting there, you would see that there are the parking lot is very lacking in both of those places. So this building is going to accommodate that. Handicap accessible parking. People will be able to get right up to the door in a wheelchair or with limited mobility, and that's important for us as well. That portico entrance there enters into the lobby of the building, and you'll see on the right portion is the town offices, and they are not going to be in the basement anymore of the town hall. So all those offices will have windows, and on both the north side and the south side, there are offices. On the left side of this picture, you'll see the library there, lots of windows, and the lot also slopes down there. So there is a storage area underneath the library. It will not be accessible to the public. That saves us a lot of money, because by making this essentially a one-story building for the public, we are not required to put in an elevator, which is a huge expense, and a yearly maintenance expense as well. So that storage area will be accessible from a door on the bottom level there. Storage for the mechanics of the building will be down there, but also for some different climate controlled storage areas as well, for housing some historical documents and so on that don't need to be in the vault at the town hall. We can go to the next slide. This is the side that faces Richmond Consolidated School. So you're seeing on the right side the windows of the library. The library will have a door out onto this beautiful patio. We envision having some seating out there so people can come out for programs that could be out on the patios. People could just go out there to do some reading. Groups could meet out there when the weather's nice. In the center portion of the plan is a covered area that has 3 doors coming off of the multi-purpose room. That will really enable us for programs to have those doors open. A program could be inside, but also spill to the outside with, people going back and forth in between the two, and enlarges our space for us, which will be really nice. And on the left side, you'll see kind of poking out there the town offices. You're also going to see the artist's rendition of some solar panels on the roof. Those are not in our cost budget right now, but we're looking at how to have like a leased option or a program where they put the parts in. Pat, did you want to add in here?
For you, Megan?
Pat, did you want to say something here? Okay, so those solar panels we hope will come later. We also are looking at maybe a tent could be on this patio in the summer to some extent to add to that area. It's a really functional, pretty space that would be stretching our indoor space in the summer. And we think it's a great use of that space. And being on the south side of the building, it's going to get a lot of sun as well. The next slide. So this is the floor plan for, and I'll show you a little bit closer up in a minute, but this is the whole thing. And you can see at the top of the slide would be where State Road is going along. And the parking area with its new curb cut north of the school, as I said, would head to that parking area. Public entrance in where that red arrow is to the lobby, and off of the lobby is all the shared spaces for this building, and bathrooms and a little kitchenette and so on. We'll look at more later, but that community room is in the left side of the orange area there. The yellow area on this slide is the town offices. People would come through the public entrance and go into the town offices from the public entrance, and they would also enter the library from the public entrance. The lower level they're showing there is the mechanicals and storage area underneath, and as I said, it would not be accessible to the public. Okay, the next slide. So this is the town offices here. The public entrance is through the lobby at the bottom of the slide there. It meets the current and future needs of the town hall. We got input from town hall employees, and we are, looking at what we need right now. And if we just start sort of clockwise at the bottom there, storage records area, some of that is stipulated by the state. We have to have a vault for sensitive documents. The town clerk's office is off of that. So if you've ever been in the town hall, you're going to appreciate not having to go down those steep stairs to go to the town clerk's office. And they will be right there on the level that you walk in on. The collector and treasurer is next. There's a storage room and the workroom and mailroom. There's the office for the town administrator. There's a shared office space for building inspector, conservation committee, and board of health. Assessors and clerk are in the upper right corner. And then there's an exit just for that building, but that won't be a public entrance there. The police chief is not going to be in a closet near the stage any longer, but will actually have an office in the town hall. There's a small meeting room in this wing, but if they had a bigger meeting, they could be using the multipurpose room. That this small office space here could be used for a variety of things, but mostly just for a small meeting for town hall. The Council on Aging is going to have its own office in here. We actually have had a lot of questions about Council on Aging, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but we want to point out that they're going to have their own space here for file keeping, for storage of some things that they'd want to use for different programs. There's a common office. We just really wanted to put in an extra office, so anticipate needs that could be coming up in the future, or for somebody to be using temporarily. And the administrative assistant is right there. There's an IT server because we all have computer rooms that we need to have. And so that's the town hall area. We think it meets what the town needs right now and the needs for the future. And they're going to certainly appreciate being on, not down in the basement any longer. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. This lobby has a vestibule for entrance. That's part of the energy saving program here, where the cold air is not going to rush in when the doors are open. There's a seating area in this lobby. That seating area on either side of the vestibule could be for people who are waiting to meet with somebody in the town hall, or it could be for somebody who's come in to meet with a friend. And we look at this as a gathering place, a center for the town. Even if the library, it's a day when the library is not open, you'll be able to access the internet in this lobby. And so it could be a place that you come to use the internet. Could be a place that you come to chat with a friend post-COVID. And we also are going to have some gallery walls here, display walls for maybe artwork in the area. There's drawn in there a display cabinet where we could be putting some of the artifacts that are currently in the town hall. Those scales and measures and pictures and such could be on a rotating basis in that display. We want to bring in what makes Richmond unique and offer a place for those things to be displayed. There's a small kitchenette in here that could be used for the people who work in the building. It could also be used as a staging area for a program in the community area, if somebody's serving coffee or so on. The bathrooms here are going to be accessible, handicap accessible. There's a single family unit there that will be for families or also handicap accessible. And this is by sharing these bathrooms for the whole building, it saves money. We're not building a town hall with bathrooms there and the library with their own bathrooms. So this is a way that we think will suffice for this building and be useful for, and the architect knows how many to count for how big these should be for a building of this size. The multi-purpose room shown here is about the size of the upstairs of the town hall right now. We have a space on that wall there that says historical mural. It's currently displayed across as a drop on the stage, and we people expressed an interest to be bringing that to the new town building, and so that we're looking into having it restored and some work done on it so it can be hung in this spot. I think also there'll probably be a screen that could come down in front for different programs, movies and such that could happen there. They're showing that there with seats and tables. This could also be a room that is using some tables and chairs set up in a different way, but there's a storage room for all those things to be put into, as well as room in that storage room for art supplies and exercise equipment and such for all those meetings that we want to be able to have for children's programming or senior programming or just general population programming. This room could be used for voting, for town meetings, for flu clinics, for library programs for adults or for kids, for music programs, film nights, senior exercise classes. Groups can reserve it and individuals can rent it. Those 3 doors to the patio there will open up the space to increase it even more so. Okay, the next slide. Well, we had some questions about why do we, is the senior area big enough? And I just want to address a few of those things here. One thing, and have we addressed the needs of the seniors in our community enough? The building will have a van accessible drop-off and pickup area. The building itself will be fully accessible, not like the town hall now, which is going to cost a lot to get it into compliance with that. There'll be fully accessible bathrooms. As I said, the multi-use spaces are going to be used often for senior programs, I assume, and that meeting room for exercise classes, art classes, and the lobby space for gatherings as well. The Council on Aging having its own dedicated office space is something that we know is important. And, you remember from when I showed you the yellow section there, the town hall, they have their own office. And so the library is also used quite heavily by seniors. So we are looking at the library now and saying all the programs that we have currently that seniors really enjoy and participate in will be even better served by this space here. This library space here is about twice the space of our current library. And you'll notice a few things on here. One is that the quiet study room also has a place for a display that we have in the library now that's really hard to get to and see, but it's the local history artifacts that we have at the library, and they'll be stored there. This room could be used by students who come walk over after school. This room could be used by the book club, which currently when it meets in the library makes it such that other people can't really use the library without overhearing the book club. It kind of dominates the space. Film groups could be just have discussion groups there. It will be really, people can reserve this space to be used for all kinds of things. There's the way that libraries are set up right now is a very flexible approach, in that stacks and the shelving that's in there is all in a movable way so that it can be changed later. It's not built in place so that things can't be moved. And that provides for a lot of flexibility. We're also looking at how to put in enough spaces for the computers that are supplied in the library for people who come in and need to use some computers that the library owns, but also having plugs so that people coming in using their own laptops will be able to plug in there, use the internet, and so on. The interlibrary loan program, which is a big boon for us, to have a small town library, but we really have access to any book in Massachusetts. That is accessible through, currently we have the drop off through a certain separate door on the library. So we wanted to make sure that that would work as well. They come right now to drop off and pick up on a day when the library is not open. So we've made a door in the lobby area itself, so that that book drop area can be accessible from the lobby without the library being open. There'll be a book drop outside for people who come in the evening, or on a day when the library is not open or the town hall's not even open, and that book could be dropped through the outside book drop there. There's a children's room that has programming areas, and you'll notice that there's a single family bathroom in the library area itself, because when families are there with children, if a parent is there with multiple children and one needs to go into the bathroom, they don't have to trot the whole family out to the lobby to take them there, and they can still keep an eye on kids and send one child into the bathroom. So that's important in libraries. We really used a lot of input from the from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, have guided us and other new libraries in things that libraries need right now. Libraries are not just where books are kept anymore, but we have books and videos. They're an information source, local information and world information. It's an internet access. Sometimes there are people, for a long time, I was not able to have sufficient internet access and was one of those people in town who parked in front of the library and used it at all hours of the day or night. That can still happen. We'll still have that internet hooked up that will be able to be used from the parking lot as well. We have classes and programs for adults and for kids. The staff will be there to help find information and resources. And I mentioned the interlibrary loan program. It is really a community gathering spot, creating social opportunities and programs that will be suited for Richmond residents without a real business downtown area in Richmond. Sometimes that is challenging for us. I want to point out that there are lots of windows on this building. There are windows on 3 sides of it, and well, 4 sides even in the quiet room there. But they're going to be beautiful views, lots of light, and adequate office and storage space for the library staff. The Library of Things, you might notice there's something that's in the upper part of the blue section. The library currently has a library of things, like many libraries do, where we loan out items like a pasta maker or a ukulele or a soil testing kit. And those items currently are in the back offices, but we will have lots more room in this library to put them out, and maybe you'll find something that you are interested in borrowing. But we also want to say that because we're in a single building with the town hall, we will be able to we anticipate we'll be able to staff this more hours in the week with the same amount of staffing, because the library is a freestanding, kind of out of the way place right now. For safety reasons, we always have 2 people. When the library is open, there's always 2 staff on duty. We can have the same hours of staffing and create more hours and days that the library is open, and we'll be looking for public input as to when they want that to happen. We're excited about that. The next slide talks a little bit about the shared mechanical systems and energy.
Catherine, this is Pat. I just want to interrupt. There was a question, and this is a good place to answer
Okay.
it. There was a question about how big the offices are, and the answer is they're about 200 square feet,
Okay.
which is a standard office size. So,
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, good. I'm glad you had that number, because I don't think I knew exactly how many square feet it was. As we said before, sharing the mechanical systems for the library and town hall together really creates a cost saving for us. It's a highly insulated building. People have asked if it's, if it meets the building code. It exceeds the building code, and they call it a stretch energy code. The indoor air quality, which we all have really found to be so important during COVID, and we have struggled with at the library itself right now, because there's not a lot of airflow there and not much to do about it. The library currently, and if you're not aware of this, the library currently, even on a day like today, has to open some windows to get airflow. So we are heating the outdoors basically, because it's not really safe for the staff to be in there with other people, if to meet sort of the safety features for airflow. We talked about the front door vestibule, avoiding heat loss, that the roof would be ready for solar panels when we come to that point. And the electric heat pump and HVAC system are something that, along with those solar panels that we hope to put in, will be a real cost saving issue there, a cost saving plan for us. This is something that the committee has taken really seriously, to propose something that will improve the quality of life in Richmond, and making it, together with the school, a real town center with social and aesthetic improvements. We hope that this plan really addressed all the input that we've had from folks who've been on previous committees for a new building, and folks who have given us input on this building, that the slope has been taken into account, the views, the access to the school, the new curb cut to the parking lot, storage needs, office needs, library needs, community needs. If you haven't seen it, there was a great article in the Berkshire Eagle on December 26th, and I'm sure you can find it online there. They called this a building for the future. We really think it is just that, a building for the future for Richmond, and that we're excited about it, and we hope that we can answer all the questions and concerns that you have about this, and address them to you, and alleviate your concerns, or maybe make some changes in what we're doing. We're getting a lot of good input from people as well. So we hope that this answers questions for you. Thank you very much. And we're going to push this over to Roger now, and he's going to talk about some of the money issues. Thank you.
Yes, this is Roger Banzolini. I'm a selectman in the town of Richmond. A little bit about my background. I was born and raised in West Pittsfield, and I've been a resident of Richmond since 1983. And I married a Richmond girl, which almost makes me a Richmond resident now. It always comes down to cost. So let's take a look at what we have budgeted for this project. The general construction cost is $5,355,000, and that cost will that budget will cover the site work, the foundation, the building, sidewalks, parking lot, flagpole, landscaping, lawn, small plantings, those types of things that you would expect to see for a turnkey operation. And in the building structure will have sufficient to support solar panels. So it'll be solar ready. And there'll be more about solar panels, not later in this presentation, but later in the development of this project. There's $200,000 for program management services. Those are services that ensure that our project interests are understood and realized through every phase of the project. Dan has been with us from the very, very beginning of our formation of this committee. And he's going to assure that the cost estimating and budget controls in place, that the project bidding and procurement is done in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. He does the field management and oversight, like contractor resolutions, things of that nature, right through building occupancy and closeout. And then we have designer services budget of $455,000. That's a full service architectural design firm. The Curtis Edgen is our contact, and they do all of the architectural and client services from the beginning of this project right through completion. Dan and Curtis have worked together on other projects, and they seem to get along pretty well. And it seems as though things that questions that we've had in the committee and everything are addressed quickly, professionally, and adequately. Probably the more important function that the architect does is create the detailed design documents necessary for bidding and construction. Collectively, these costs may seem a little high. However, they're necessary expenses to properly execute a project of this size, and they fall within the recognized standards for public construction projects in Massachusetts. We have a $300,000 budget that for contingency budget. That was a suggested amount by our team for a project of this size. Then there's $200,000 for FF&E. That's furniture, fixtures, and equipment. These items are items that are not generally part of the construction contract, and those are the loose items internal to the building. Then there's a $50,000 utility mitigation and telephone data infrastructure cost. That's a budget to tie to the existing electrical services, to tie to the well. We already have a well in place. When we built the school, we put in a adequate well for this building as well. We had envisioned a town center here ever since we had purchased the property. So when we built the school, we put in a well that would service this building. And we also put in, and when we built the school, a water supply for fire protection. And that water storage at the school can also be used as a water storage in the fire protection for this new building. So those are two items that are really critical shared services. And then there's a $25,000 budget for what is called construction testing and geotech. That's things like soil testing for the firmness of the soil to support the building, contractor or concrete quality to see if it meets the 4,000 pound requirement, material qualities and things of that nature. So it ends up with a total budget of $6,585,000. Now the question always comes next is, what's that going to cost me? And so if we take a look at the total required budget of 6.585 million, we have on hand library funds of $80,000. And those were funds that were available from the fundraising effort that we did in 2005 and subsequent gifting to the Friends of the Library since then. And that's been increasing quite nicely over the last couple of months. We also have a fundraising estimate of $120,000. So that leaves a $6.385 million that we need to get via other means. And those other means are through a general bond obligation. To get a $6.385 million 30-year bond obligation at 2.41%, that's a best representation of the various options that our bonding agent, working closely with our finance chair and committee, have come up with. Is a good representation of what we would need. And the estimated annual debt service for that obligation is $308,000. Now, the good news is the current school bond debt service, which is $150,000 this year, terminates this year. So that leaves an incremental debt service of $158,000. So what does that mean to the average taxpayer? That $158 incremental debt service, that's an increase in debt service over what we're currently paying in our taxes. So if you take a look at this chart, the left-hand column is the assessed value of the residential property, and the right-hand column is the estimated annual increase in property tax for that assessed value. So on a per $100,000 basis, to cover the incremental debt service of $158,000, that would cost $37 a year per $100,000 evaluation. So anyone can figure out from that number how much it would mean to them specifically. for a median valued home in Richmond, which is $352,000, that would mean an increase of $130 annually in their tax bill. The median value is the value of the middle of the town tax value, which means of the 746 single family homes in Richmond, 373 are valued less than 352,004, and 373 are valued more than that. So if you look at the average home value in Richmond, which is $406,000, 103, that would mean an annual increase of $150 per year in their annual tax. Now, that's about $37.50 per quarterly tax bill. The project timeline is shown here. We're doing these communication sessions. We had the first one in December, and there's 3 more after this, and they're all scheduled in our town website. The approval for funding is going to come at the May 19th annual town meeting. And we hope to have the completed design documents and everything out to bid in the May through August 2021 frame. And we hope to start construction in October this year and to occupy the building late next year. So what have we told you? What we've come to, we've come to the point where when we bought the property in 1996, it was our vision at that time to develop a town center. And that's what we've been trying to do pretty much ever since we built that property. And I think we are there. The plan is to give the town center a community atmosphere, what we think is in line with the needs and values of Richmond, or not what we think are in line, but what we know are in line with it. And we need to finance this with debt service, is there just isn't sufficient money available elsewhere. As Catherine said, or I think Pat said, when we looked at doing this through state funding of libraries, it just the time frame is way out, and the implications in the process to get those state funds are rigorous, and the imposition on the design structure really pushed the cost of the building much higher than what we need it to be. We meet the needs of the townspeople without having to build a oversized building in library portion. The school bond being paid off this year helps an awful lot in this situation as far as the taxpayers feeling an impact. And we feel that the design of this new building is really what is best interest in the town of Richmond with respect to what it can do for us now and how it can serve us in the future. You know, when we looked at the growth of Richmond and the school children in Richmond, we've been fairly stable for the last 30 years. And we did have a dip in the school population, but that's on the rise as of recently. And it looks as though it may rise even a little bit as we go into the future. And I think the building of this nature will really complement those needs. The time is really now to do this. The interest rates are really at a historic low, as all of us know that have built anything over our lifetimes. We've never seen interest rates like this. And it will never be easier than it is right now. This is it. I can't stress that enough. There's no way that this is going to be any easier than it is right now. The bond request will be presented in May at the annual meeting, and it'll need 2/3 approval. And we're asking for your support at that meeting. And if you choose to help via fundraising, that would be great, because the more we fundraise, the less we're going to borrow. And there's been a lot of interest recently on making sizable donations towards this building, and we're pursuing that vigorously. If you want to make a promise towards this building, there's how you can do it right here. Is just promise a gift or check mark to the building fund, to the Friends of the Library, as many townspeople have done already. Any questions?